Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
So, welcome everybody to this morning session of the European Alliance Against Coronavirus. Thank you for joining us. Please mute your microphone if you are not speaking. I don't know who, but we are hearing sounds from the background. Perfect. This session is going to be recorded. So, it's being recorded now. So, if you stay with us, you are accepting that, okay? We will publish it both in the channels of the European Cluster Alliance and on those of the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. That's important for you to know. And just going in the thematic for today, we are going to speak about the EU Single Market Program. And in order to do that, we have with us Ilse van Rompuy. Welcome, Ilse, and thank you for joining us. I will let, I think that Marek is with us. I don't know. Let me check. No, I don't see him. Okay, anyway, welcome, Ilse, and without any more introduction, I will give you the floor. Should I share the screen from my computer, or would you prefer to take control from yours?
Yes, please share the screen, so I'm sure that technically everything is smooth.
Sorry, because I have some little echo, so I will share the screen.
Yes, yes,
okay,
fine.
perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just one moment. I see that Marek is with us. Welcome, Marek.
Yes, welcome, and happy that today we can have this EU single market, and thank you, Ilse, from our unit in DG Grow from B2, the unit which is responsible for coordination of the single market program, to agree to talk at our meeting and to give the overall overview of the single market program. So we go, because this is very heterogeneous program, we'll have the overview of this program, and then if you see during the presentations some elements that we would like to deepen in, then of course we can organize another session, another meeting with specific topic, with people who are concentrating on development of the specific instruments of the single market program. So Ilse has kindly agreed to present the overview, so that you have the idea what is inside the single market program. So thank you, Ilse, and welcome for your presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Marek. Yes, indeed, as Marek has said, so myself, I'm part of the SMP Single Market Program, which is called Secretariat within DG Grow. We're actually coordinating this program, and this new program. It's now en route and has been launched and active so since a couple of weeks. Beginning of May, there was the legal base adopted, the regulation, which is referred to here below. It's a lot in the title, but it also covers a lot. I mean, the single market program is a very vast and various program with a lot in this, and it is a funding program, a new one, for the next MFF period 21-27. I propose we get into, so if we see a bit why at certain point the Commission has decided. Could you continue with the slide, or can I? Yeah, thank you. So why do we have the single market program? Well, actually, at some point it was becoming quite clear that everybody knows, of course, and don't need to convince you. Please, next slide. That the single market is, of course, at the heart of the European project. I mean, it's the cornerstone of the European Union. It's too important. It's the basis for everything. It enables citizens, consumers, businesses to function, to work, to travel. But it's not a given, and it has been challenged many times. We've seen this last year also with the pandemic. So now, at a certain point, it was becoming clear that we needed, Europe needs to make sure that not only the single market remains as it is, but even gets stronger, really gets to be more visible. So this program, this is the first ever financial program which actually is focused, which is boosting the single market as a whole. And so it has now kicked off. It's over more than 4.2 billion. It's actually designed, the SMP as it's called, because we use it as the SMP and instead of referring to it as a single market program. So from now on, if you hear the word SMP, it should ring a bell. It's really about a consistent integrated package, which is designed to support and strengthen the governance of the single market on many levels. So the idea is to also, increase the visibility of the single market to all stakeholders, to provide Commission activities which are underlying in the program, really to support the smooth functioning of the single market, having this in one coherent package, and benefiting to individuals, consumers, businesses. I do not need to convince you about the importance of the SMEs, of course, but also authorities, national authorities. So the single market is really the engine for growth, jobs, and resilience. The focus is to have better value for money for all EU citizens. It's about improving synergies. There are a lot of overlaps between programs which already existed. So now it's more than time to avoid this duplication or common actions in expenditure. So it's about synergies, not only on the activities of the programs which are in the SMP, but also the SMP's impact in a whole. I mean, for the whole of at the European level. It's about coordinating actions, reducing administrative burden. There also, I think you know more than anybody else how many hurdles or obstacles often companies and SMEs face or have to face within the single market. It's designed to be transparent and really to have a flexible financing structure, flexibility in terms of fund allocation in the new MFF structure, to have a stronger single market, more streamlined and a more flexible financing framework, and doing this in a more cost-efficient way. That's a lot of words, but in addition to that, there has come an additional challenge last year with the pandemic. We have been facing a lot of issues, and so also this program has been, during actually the negotiations the last couple of 2 years and last year, has been redesigned or fine-tuned in the sense that it also has a focus really on the economic recovery of each industrial ecosystem. So it's about helping now the EU and businesses recover from the economic crisis, helping to creating jobs, helping consumers, stimulating economy, also supporting businesses towards a more sustainable and digital and inclusive recovery. It's about the idea also is now that just having the regulation or legal base, of course, is not enough. The SMP actually really is about contributing to a more sustainable recovery for businesses and helping businesses through the green and digital transitions which they have to face these days. So, dedicated budget for over more than 4.2 billion. And if we go now to the content of what is actually in there, so what are we talking about? This is kind of a picture of how it was before. So up to last year, let's say, there were actually various funding programs. I think in total there were like 6 basic funding programs covered over 5 DGs. One you definitely know, of course, is the COSME part. You see in red, there are also food chain from DG Sante. There were consumer programs from DG Just, also DG FISMA was involved with programs on financial market, financial standards, statistics, European Statistical System, DGStat. So there was the 5 DGs involved, and apart from that, there were also like separate budget lines, which is called, so independent, actually not really a funding program, but they have been existing separately, but they were all related to the single market. So this was before, a bit of a loose ends, and now this is actually how the SMP is built. This is the structure with its what we call pillars. It's actually reflecting the objectives which are defined for the SMP. The 5 first objectives are really about improving the functioning of the internal market, removing the barriers, making the internal market stronger, and they're all underpinned actually by one basic objective on statistics, because of course you need high quality statistics, data on which cover all EU policies, so all of the above. And this is done actually by the European Statistics Objective. So now what I propose is to go through all these pillars. Next slide, please. Thank you. So just for the budget-wise, I said it was like 4.2 million. To see a bit the repetition of who's how it has been allocated, the biggest chunk is clearly food chain. It's also it's about 40% of the total. Competitiveness of enterprises, so where SMEs are involved, it's the 1 billion in red, and then you have the 3 others which are a bit less in part of the picture. So that's how the money is allocated. The first pillar indeed is about making the internal market more effective. And this is actually the more various, diverse pillar, because the other pillars you will see are more straightforward and more focused on one, coming from 1 or 2 programs. This is really about a pillar that will ensure citizens and businesses to enjoy all the benefits of the internal market. We're thinking about free movement of goods, services, also the financial market, stability on the financial market. It's about actions and activities that will help and enforcing rules, so compliance to EU legislation in many kinds of areas, customs, tax policy, competition policy, also company and contract law. About you will see there some examples you might know. There are already like tools that are internal market governance tools, refer to all kinds of information and tools accessible for citizens, consumers, and businesses to have information on EU legislation, services, and also helping them in resolving problems. Single Digital Gateway is, for example, a new initiative operational since this year about online services. You might know the IMI system, which is an exchange of information tool between authorities. This is really a pillar where there is a lot of diverse policy covered, and also covering several DGs. Yeah, maybe next slide. So other issues in this, or other policies or activities under this program of internal market. As I said, it's also about, and this was former DG FISMA, company and contract law, also focus on anti-money laundering, actions that are really designed to detect this problem. Implementation and development of the financial markets. So it's not just about internal markets, it's of course the free movement of goods, services and people, but also the stability of the capital. I mean, the financial markets have to be monitored. It's about supporting evidence-based policy making. The idea is to assess legislation, to make improvements, etc. And all kinds of activities within the SMP might include, for instance, data gathering, analysis, assessments, studies, evaluations, joint actions between authorities, trainings, financing mechanisms. So it's really quite vast. Specifically to be mentioned is within this pillar is market surveillance. During the negotiations and during the process of the last 2 years, this has received a specific importance, also budget-wise. At a certain moment within the negotiations between the trilogue, actually hasn't seen its budget increased because of its importance. I'm not sure if you're aware what it is, but so just to mention that market surveillance is about detecting unsafe products, making sure that only compliant products are available and freely traded on the single market. It's about activities that now will support and make sure that there's more capacity building, so they will enforce capacity building and cooperation among national authorities. These actions will fund cooperation between authorities or training of inspectors. So it's about a more coordinated approach to make sure that only safe products are available on the internal market. And this is actually within GROW a very important item. The second pillar, I do not need to convince you of this importance, or I think you're very much more the expert on this pillar than myself. The former COSME program. This one. Oh. Okay.
So, solve. Thank you.
Okay, so this SME strength of the SMP, because now it's this pillar is called the SME pillar, hosts now the former COSME program, of which, as you know, COSME in itself does no longer exist, but part of it has been moved to Horizon 2020 on the financial instruments. But all measures that you know, of course, on supporting businesses and facilitating growth of businesses, making, of course, I don't need to mention the Joint Cluster Initiative or EEN. This is all now under the SMP. Yes, you can take the next slide, for which I mentioned what the kinds of grants, procurement, or other actions which are taken in the work program of this pillar. So we have the regulation, of course, the Basic Act, but then next to that there's has been adopted the financing decision and all the underlying work program, the work program of the SMP, which is built pillar by pillar and reflects actually every grant procurement which is foreseen within the SMP funding for the next years up to 27. With some further reference, it's a lot of detail, but it's also a lot, this pillar. It's about 24% of the SMP, so it's an important part, of course, within the program. The third pillar is on standardization. It's about ensuring the effective functioning of the internal market through standardization. And actually this covers, well, two DGs, if you will, are behind. It's first of all about supporting the cooperation between the Commission and the 3 European standardization organizations through joint initiatives and action plans. It's about the functioning of the organization like CEN, CENELEC, so everything which relates to the technical standards of products on the internal market. And next to that, it's also about standards in the fields of financial and non-financial reporting and auditing. So this is more from DG FISMA side, former program, in the sense that it's financial support specifically to certain identified bodies, organizations which have the task to develop European-wide standards, but on auditing and reporting, which is of course also part of the internal market. And then the next pillar, the 4th pillar, is about consumers. The consumer program, as it existed before, has found its home here, and it's from DG Just, and also including specific grants related to consumers, but more consumers and what is called end users, again in financial markets. So it's really, again, more in the remit of DG FISMA, but we should not think too much anymore in terms of DGs. It's about the SMP overall umbrella for all these DGs. So it's these specific grants in the financial sector. It's about making a bit more, promoting more the understanding of the financial sector in itself. There are many commercialized financial products, but people need to understand, they need to find their way, just the way it's important for to have on which regards goods or services. Same goes for financial products. So the SMP, there are some examples given there below. Yeah, on the consumer program, it's about making sure again that safe products are on the market, to raise awareness for consumers, to help national authorities working together, making sure there's communication in case of dangerous products. There's this example of the safety gate for dangerous products. There you might know the European consumer centers, which have a very important place in this pillar. They help citizens to solve problems, issues with traders or cross-border actions on trade, etc. So this, of course, is also an important part as for consumers. I think this is about 5% of the program, so not the biggest chunk, but of course it's again an important asset because we're all consumers of products or in whatever way. Then the next pillar, that's the 5th pillar already, it's about health. This is really hosting, so this is, as I said, 40% of the SMP. It's in the remit of DG Sante, so ensuring the high level of health, safety for humans, animals, plants throughout the food chain. These activities, which are under this program, actually support many things. It's about emergency measures, eradication measures in case of animal diseases and plant pests. So all the veterinary and phytosanitary programs of DG Sante. Emergency measures in case of outbreaks of diseases, etc. Funding is provided on certain terms to national authorities. I mean, it goes to member states who then who submit their national programs to eradicate certain diseases, etc. It's also covering measures or activities on sustainable food production and consumption, tackling food waste, improving official controls, food controls, border checks and things, supporting general improvement of animal welfare. So it's a really vast domain as well, also laboratory activities. So, but this is really in the area of health and for humans, animals, and plants in the whole food chain. You might know the RASP system, the Rapid Alert System for Food and Feed, for instance, where you can where everybody can signal dangerous food and feed. So it's this area of expertise. And then the last pillar, which is, as I said, actually underpinning it all, it's about statistics. Because in every policy area, of course, it's important to collect data, to have good reporting, to be able to draw conclusions, to have evidence-based decision making, so you need material to be able to move forward. And actually, this part of the program is not about funding to directly to consumers or businesses, but it's actually providing funding to national statistic producers, and they produce and disseminate and provide statistics. These statistics then, of course, help us monitor the situation economically and society and environmental and everything within the EU. So this is about cooperation, partnership between with Eurostat, with national statistical institutes and other bodies. And you might know the ESS, so the European Statistical System, which is actually this part of the program. And all of this is now on the way. It has been launched. It's on the road to the SMP, and it's in practice being this is an example of the kinds of grants that they give as that. So it's mainly about it's two national institutes, as I said, also procurement on such kinds of activities. So it's quite vast on statistical data collection, surveys, indicators. We put the reference to Eurostat in case you would need more detailed information. There is a lot for you to use and consult. So when the SMP now is entered into force, it has to be put in practice, of course. We've put some links to the funding and tenders portal, which is slowly getting filled in with all the information. There will be also a specific SMP dedicated webpage on the corporate portal, but it's still under development. It will be up and about in the coming weeks. We are really working hard to make sure that this happens because it's quite important. And I've mentioned the two agencies because, of course, the actual implementation of funding activities and programs is not done by DGs alone. It's mainly the SMES, so the former EASME, which has been delegated activities in internal markets, standardization, market surveillance, of course also the SME part. And for HADEA, as mentioned, that's a new agency, but they implement measures specifically on food safety. So the fifth pillar for the DG Sante activities. And that was about it, I think, from my end on a very general overview. If there are more specific policy-specific questions, or we can take them on board, of course, and try to help you later with colleagues that are experts in every field. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Ilse. Thank you very much to you for the exposition and congratulations for the work that you have done. Okay, so now we have 30 minutes for sharing information and questions, okay, comments from the attendants. Who wants to be the first?
Hello, Antonio.
Hello, Carlos.
Could I please say a little comment on this excellent presentation? Congratulations for this so comprehensive initiative that in my view is the first time that European Commission is integrating all relevant actions to creating synergies between all plans and strategies that are in the Green Deal and the resilience plans. In this sense, I am very much congratulating how you are combining different angles, and mainly in the case of finance, that as you are showing, it's very important to integrate all relevant information, financial as well as non-financial information. One little point is now we can't speak on non-financial information. We have to speak on unsustainable information because sustainable risks are fully integrated in the financial risk. So companies have to disclose information, standardized information that could be used to check if they are going in a right way in terms of sustainability. And InvestEU is providing a lot of resources to support this way. So I think this is the great opportunity, and this is the exactly place to do it, because single market means to integrate everything at the same time, go hand in hand with all relevant actions. Thank you, Antonio.
You are very welcome, Carlos, for your comments. I see that there are some questions about the clusters programs. Probably is Marek the best person to answer about that, or would you comment?
Maybe we can gather the comments from the others, and then at the end I will refer to the question of the ATEX test, yeah, because I'm interested in other comments as well. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so more comments, more questions.
Yes, Antonio, can I make a very comment that I put in the chat? Yes, very good, and congratulations for your excellent presentation. We have been speaking a lot here about collective intelligence. How do you see the role of collective intelligence in terms of this renewal and repositioning of the concept of internal market? Thank you.
I'm sorry, was that the question to me?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, no, but just, I didn't understand actually. There was a, could you repeat it?
Well, I can repeat, sorry. We have been speaking here about collective intelligence, how important for clusters and for ecosystems is the role of more collective intelligence. You have been speaking about the process of renewal and repositioning of the internal market. How do you see that collective intelligence will be important for this new kind of internal market that we want in Europe?
Yeah, Marek, I'm not sure if I'm the one.
Yes. I take it. The whole program, as you can see, it incorporates the elements like Eurostat information, like standardization, like market surveillance, like EU, China intellectual property. It's very heterogeneous. So this is all about creating intelligence. The issue is to gather this intelligence for the purpose of clusters. So you have this food safety, as well. So it's so heterogeneous and broad. It's about collecting intelligence, actually. Collecting intelligence, but it doesn't mean collective intelligence. So it's about to get this intelligence used collectively. So from our perspective, from the single market program, if we have you have 7 DGs involved in this. You have DG Grow, you have Taxud, you have JUST, you have Comp, you have FISMA, you have Eurostat and SANTE. It's really very heterogeneous program, probably the most heterogeneous program in MFF. It's very, so we bring it all together in one single market program, that all these elements of the single market program leads to creation and deepening the internal market. So all these elements. So collective intelligence, if I can answer to your questions, when we are talking about collective intelligence here, this program can give us elements for building collective intelligence, and I can see it like this. I don't know if Jamie, you meant something else, because it's quite a question which it's. I mean, for the single market program, you don't have a specific process for collective intelligence, or specific. You have some instruments which can be used for collective intelligence, huh? But as such, you don't have a specific like instrument that's build collective intelligence. We have the different consortia creations for joint cluster initiative, for example, later. But I don't know if this is what you mentioned.
Okay, that's very good, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyway, I think that most of the pillars open opportunities for the participation of clusters, no, in their programs. I mean, we have hundreds of clusters working on the food industry, for sure, in the digital one, on the health system. That means that we could apply for those goals that will be covered by the SMP. How do you see our role, Ilse? Do you know about clusters? Should we work on introducing our figuring between the different services? What do you think?
I think I'm not really in the best position to answer these kind of questions, or really in the role of coordinating the program. I mean, this is really focused on this audience of cluster. It's a bit out of my day-to-day role, I must.
No, the thing maybe when you're asking is taking into account the whole heterogeneity of the single market program. Then definitely the focus from clusters would be on the grant section on the pillar 2, so competitiveness of SMEs. Yeah. But as well, the question would be if there are some other parts from the single market program which clusters could be interested. Could be. I think yes. I think could be. Food safety for agri-food clusters could be. I mean, Eurostat is general for everyone. Huh? So you have market surveillance as well. And market surveillance.
Market surveillance. Yeah, market surveillance I can see indeed. But as you say, like for food chain and the health is indeed. I can see the relevance. The only thing that there has to be seen, of course, we could organize something more specifically. But as I said, this part of the funding is, if we're speaking practically about funding going to, it's to member states. So it's national authorities that receive the funding, which is covered in the SMP. So how this all would work to be part of this bit of the structure, it should be seen a bit more closely. But then, as you say, like consumers and market surveillance, I can imagine that there would be interesting ways to have reflection on thinking in clusters. That I suppose it already exists at some point, because again, I do not know. But
yeah, well, when we have in market surveillance the alerts, for example, during the COVID crisis, when there was the people were alerting about the fake production of PP of the PP, so the protective the masks, for example. So there are no or the products which reached the EU market and were counterfeited or they were fake with CE labels. So the clusters can hear as well. I mean, if there's any alert that can be coming from the feedback from the ground, from the clusters and the members. It's, for example, from this, it's about collective intelligence in this sense as well, Jen. So it's going in two directions. So there are some programs here like this consumer protection and product safety that goes in two ways. Without this feedback, without this alert, the surveillance will not be effective.
Okay, there is a question from Jose Manuel Martin. Jose Manuel, would you share the question?
My question is, could you give a concrete example of an action that can be included in the program, especially in relations with the SMEs competitiveness? Because I am looking for some new ideas in these topics.
Okay, I think we get into details in this case. So let me, if you open, I would recommend to go to the link where we have the financing single market decision, and then we have different annexes. I would.
Which link is it, Marek? The first one that you.
If you allow me to.
For sure, I will give you the presentation rights.
Then I will try.
Yeah. You have it.
Okay. So if we go to concrete, we have this Commission implementing decision Annex 2, which sets what kind of instruments we will have in this single market program, and all actions described very precisely. So we can go.
Could you please share the link in the chat, please?
It is there. You have it.
Oh, okay.
So just go there and read in details. And what I can suggest you is that when I look at this, you have the Enterprise Europe Network grants to one, joint cluster initiatives, which I tell you later. And then you have relevant for clusters, social economy and local Green Deal supporting SMEs. Then you have affordable housing initiative. The 2.5 rather not for clusters. The 2.6 COVID-19 recovery, sustainable growth in tourism support to SMEs. When I talk about clusters, I think as well members of clusters. No? Then we have 2.9 Erasmus for young entrepreneurs. Then we have as well to certain clusters which are dealing with China, USME Center in China. Sustainability Partnership Platform to 11 to 12 public, no, there's not. IP licensing intermediaries if there are clusters who are providing services of intellectual property rights. So these are concrete instruments where you will have grants being launched and calls for grant being launched this year. Enterprise Europe Network is right now launched, so the call is open. Then we will launch joint cluster initiatives probably in October, November. So and for each of them, you must follow the link which was on the PowerPoint presentation on tenders. You need to follow it. It's the place where you can find it. So let me just go, for example, this is Enterprise Europe Network, so that you have idea what is inside. This is a call going on, so you go into details. A joint cluster initiative. Let me go for this because I'm responsible for this. So this is Euro clusters, and I will refer here to the questions I had from colleague from Greek. It's not true that we have a lower budget for clusters this year. Actually, we have budget higher by 40%. The thing is that the budget for clusters was for COSME, and on top of this was InnoSup 1 from Horizon. Yeah, and so we shouldn't compare peers with apples. We are talking here about the budget from the single market program, where COSME is part of, and joint cluster initiative is within this. And for this, we have tentatively 110 million euro for 2021-27. And this is going to be for consortia of cluster organizations which team up with anyone, with any organization which can, any entity which can help in covering critical value chains across industrial ecosystems or within the ecosystem. The main point will be to improve the resilience of the EU industrial ecosystems. I'm giving this as an example of, because all these instruments that mentioned beyond have these fishes where you can find out what are the objectives, description, what are the target groups. So here, definitely the target group is consortia of cluster organizations with the objective to improve the resilience of the industrial ecosystem. So we will focus on critical infrastructure, critical input technologies, and critical value chains in order to transform our economies to resilient, green, and digital transition among ecosystems and within ecosystems. So we want to finance from this budget 30 cross-sectoral, interdisciplinary, and trans-European joint cluster initiative, Euro clusters, so more or less 1.4 million euro per each project. And this is going to be, we will combine the funding for 2021-24, and we are going to launch the call by the end of this year, as I said, with the value of 42 million euro. And then repeat the same call in 2024-25, so for the rest of the period. So we want to have 30, and this money is not about, it is exactly going to be the money which attracts as well the other funding sources, be it public, be it private, from different parts of the EU, of the different actors from the ecosystems. But the main objective is, as I said, improve the resilience of the industrial ecosystems. Very much focus. We want to take the opportunity of clusters to be agile, to group the people and companies who can solve the critical issue, be it in the ecosystem, one of 14 that we have, or among ecosystem, bringing them together to solve the societal challenge or business challenge that are important. This is describe what we accept. So we want the partnering, building complementaries between actors, mapping the critical elements, what they have, and develop the common roadmap of portfolio of projects they could have, so that they prepare resilience-related investment projects, and then this way channel business growth acceleration among SMEs, because 75% of this money 1 million should go as direct grant from for SMEs, 25% for the activities of coordination, the efforts. So this is going to be through executive agency SMEA implemented. It is indicated total amount for 2021, but we will combine the whole budget for all these 3 years. So the call will be launched for 42 million euro, and estimated duration of the agreement will be 36 months. So this is the example of one instrument from the whole single market program, the instrument which is directly related to clusters. Actually, as I said, this is 30% more than it was in the previous COSME program. It's not InnoSoup one. I want to emphasize. It uses the good elements of InnoSoup one, which is the cascade funding, so that 75% goes to SME, but it's not InnoSoup one. The main focus of this is to create the Eurocluster, create the consortia of cluster organizations which can solve the resilience of the EU industrial ecosystem, solve any issues we have in this of critical elements. So this is one. There are of course other very interesting. This one for Enterprise Europe network. You are very familiar with. Then another one which I would like to highlight. The others are as well interested, but you can have a look, and then we can invite the people who are responsible for specifically. We had some like affordable housing initiative. We had this in our session. So let me go. Erasmus for young entrepreneurs. This is something which is very interesting. So members of your clusters could exchange with other SMEs. Entrepreneurs can reach other entrepreneurs and have traineeship. Not exchange and go to other places. So I would say if we want to have a specific session, we can invite the colleague from right now as well, our unit in D2 for this. So this I encourage you to go in details. If you are asking me what are the concrete actions, here you have concrete actions written in the annexes. If you go to the link that I presented, you will find annexes for all other parts, including what are for FISMA, what are for SANTE in food chain, for FISMA for implementation development of single market, for financial services, for competition policy for a stronger union in digital age, and so on and so forth. There's many of them, and if you want to participate in something, you need to screen them and find out the way for yourself. InnoSoup 1 have some continuing other programs. InnoSoup 1 has now it's not continued as such. There is Horizon Europe, which is a separate topic. We had the presentation of Horizon Europe. I made it a month ago. Now the work programs are going to be presented, launched, adopted, and in work program, you know, we have the 3 pillars in Horizon. In Horizon, we have the so-called 7 clusters where you can have detailed calls, but this is a separate topic, and please don't mix it with the single market program because it's not the same, and the objective is different. So InnoSoup, therefore, will InnoSoup 1 call be replicated in another place of this SMP, or no? The answer is not replicated in single market program. In Horizon Europe program, maybe if there is a call like this, but work programs are being now adopted, so you need to follow the work programs of the Horizon Europe, but it's not like InnoSoup 1 one-to-one. It's not existing, so there's no for cluster facilitated projects, no program like this. Maybe in the perspective in the next work program for 2021-23 we can push for having the specific for clusters, but it doesn't mean that clusters cannot participate in many other programs, which is as well for Horizon Europe quite huge. So okay, the first call, when our first call for SMP to be published, the first call for SMP is published on the European Enterprise Europe network. You can Google it or go to the standard web page. I cannot now put this on the chat. Maybe Nina, if you can copy this always this most interested link to the tender, and then you can see the published tenders for the whole MFF, actually from all other programs. But I see the SMP we are talking today just as SMP program calls are as well there published. So yeah, it's I encourage you to look at this if there's interest in getting into details in one of these instruments, then let Antonio, Nina, and myself know, and we can organize the specific session dedicated to this. As you see, this is the meeting, and thank you, Elisa. It was about awareness raising about the variety of and heterogeneity of the single market program, and so that you have a clue what it covers. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Marek. And as you said, ILS has gave us an excellent overview of the general framework, and that's very important for us. Just for those of you that didn't attend to the meeting, we have a session on the EEN some weeks ago. You have the video published in our YouTube channel. I'm not sure if it is by now on the ECCP, but it will be soon. But if you want to go directly to our YouTube channel, there you have the session on the EEN. The goal for the EEN clearly recommend the consortia to work with clusters. Okay, so we are encouraging you to participate, to go to call, to contact the current consortia and to ask for your inclusion. Okay, and I have clear references on some consortia that are doing that. Okay, but don't wait for them to contact you. Okay, it's the other way around. So go read the call, because you could reading the call you will see that there are many references to clusters. Read the call, contact the consortia that are being building, and defend your participation and the capacity that you can provide to those consortia. Okay, you know that this is open until June. I think it's not so far in the future, but you still have the opportunity to do it. Okay, so I think that it has been a very important session. Thank you, Ilse, because we have now a far clearer view of something that it will be very important for us in the near future. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, especially Marek, for sharing with us so much information. For sure, if we have any opportunity to help or to encourage the European Commission, the Horizon Europe team, to include some new call specific for cluster, that is of our interest. Okay, we think that InnoSup has been providing excellent results. I think we are convinced. Okay, so anything that we could do to facilitate those specific calls for cluster, please don't hesitate to.
Just Antonio, just for the end, you need to, the link doesn't work, but I think you can easily Google funding tenders, opportunities, European Commission, and in Google you can find it. But just ending, the single market and clusters, it's specifically written in the single market program. It's recital 34 of the regulations. Clusters are a strategic tool for supporting the competitiveness and scaling up of SMEs, and they offer favorable and resilient business environment. So just to be, it's explicitly written in the single market program what are clusters. Joint cluster initiatives should achieve critical mass to accelerate the growth of SMEs. By connecting specialized industrial ecosystems, clusters create new business opportunities for SMEs and integrate them better in European and global strategic value chains. So this is just ending. This is the clusters are there, and definition of cluster is as well written. So the definitions of clusters, business networks. So all these elements are in the single market program, and clusters are clearly visible in the single market program, and they have a very important role to play. Okay, thank you.
That's a very good job from your side. Okay, thank you, Marek, thank you, Ilse, thank you, everyone, and you are invited to join us for the next sessions. So see you soon, I hope.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you, Ilse. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us. Thank you.